Welcome to Why They Play the Game, a show created to discuss the NBA on and off the court. I'm just one of your hosts, Michael Eric Owens.
And I'm Ken Hayes.
Hey, what's going on, my brother?
What's happening, man? New Year's Eve,
Man, New Year's Eve. Happy New Year.
2025.
Oh, man,
Here we go.
2025. Man, here we go, my brother. So let's get into this, folks. This is of course, we on the eve of a new year. This is our close-in show. And so we want to talk about a little bit about the Kings. And we also want to get into the future of the NBA. So Ken, we had a little change up. Talk to our listeners about that.
So, let's just say in the past week, Mike Brown, coach of the Sacramento Kings, was fired unexpectedly. Just received a 3-year extension this past summer. I think they were playing Detroit. They were up by 3. So Ivy hits a 3 and gets fouled by Fox.
Mm-hmm.
And he hits the free throw. Game over. So, Brown went to the press conference, said, hey, we got to run these players off the 3 with that type of situation. He mentions Fox's name, holding him accountable, which he should be doing that. Nothing wrong with that. Brown is on his way to the team's plane to travel to their next game, gets a call and gets fired. That's a nice way to get fired, huh?
Ken, wasn't he just recently coach of the year?
Coach of the year. I think I'm going to say that in the last, 15 to 20 years, Sacramento has not even made the playoffs until Mike Brown came and became the head coach. So I'll say it's the Coach Griffin effect, as we talked about before the show.
Yeah.
Mike. And my whole thing is this, there's rumors about Fox and DeRozan not getting along. That's been, out there. There's rumors about Brown and Fox not, being on the same page. Fox turned down the extension as far as his contract was concerned. So, and then there's other rumor, Fox wants to go to Miami, with Bam. It's just a lot out there. But, what we have in front of us is that Brown is no longer the coach. It's Doug Christie. So.
And I'm glad you mentioned Coach Griff, man, because this is a pattern. This is that we're gonna trade. Okay, they got DeRozan, and they felt okay. We had success. He's coach of the year. We add a piece, and then we're championship material. Okay, it doesn't work out, and so what do? They fire the coach, and it's like, well, man, Ken, how many times have we seen these players go to teams and the high expectation? Phoenix.
Yeah.
Okay, Phoenix is what? Phoenix is not even in the play-in right now. And who's coaching Phoenix?
But.
Okay, so a championship coach, is coaching the Phoenix Suns. And Ken, do you recall when they announced that Kevin Durant and Booker and all them, the odds makers had them number one
to win it all.
To win it all, and they're not even in the play-in right now. Folks, listen. These expectations that we put on these coaches, man. Now, I think Mike Brown's a great coach. I'm going to be honest with you. I think he overachieved with what he had and with the Kings. I'm just going to be honest with you. Who's a superstar?
That's a good question. But, their leading scorer is, Fox. So,
Don't get me wrong, Ken. We both like Fox. We like
Fox,
but he's not a superstar. Can anybody argue that I'm gonna build a team around Fox and he's gonna lead us to a championship? Okay, that's the Kings' problem. They don't have the personnel, and they happen to be in the West.
Yeah,
come on, man. That's that. I feel it's the Adrian Griffin effect, man. We bring you in. Why we not winning now? Why we not at the top? Doesn't look like it's going in the right direction. Well, listen, again, I'm going to get back to this fact that I believe when he got coach of the year, exceeded expectations. We can look at that year and see what happened in the West. We can look and see who might have been hurt, who might have been this, who might have been that. A lot of those factors play into there. Nobody looked at Sacramento coming into this season and said, "Oh, they're gonna win it all."
No, they wasn't on the same level as OKC.
Come on, man. Are you serious? What do you expect, Ken, out of these coaches?
But Mike, I'll say this. Remember when Brown was the coach for the Cavaliers
Yes,
and him and Kyrie were not on the same page?
yes.
What happened to Mike Brown?
See you later.
Exactly. And then he moved on to, let's just say, got an assistant job with Golden State. The thing about it, Mike, I'll say this, and people may say, no, they don't. Players have too much control in the NBA. Too much, way too much.
It's a players' league.
Definitely. And if the coach and the player not on the same page or not getting along, who's going? The coach.
Yeah, every time. See you. Bye.
So
Even
yeah.
even on the you know what I'm saying, like even on the team, what kills me, Ken, is we have these good seasons. And then you turn around next season, you struggling, coach gone. It's like what changed up, man? I don't get as much opportunity as I would like to watch the Kings, but what I will say is this: when I watch them, man, they not a hard working team. They're more finesse and offense and Savonis. I mean, he'll come down and he give you a couple knots on your head and all that with his elbows and this, that, and the other thing. But to me, I don't look at them as being locked down, defensive minded team, and I don't see them playing well together as a team. One can argue, well, that's coaching. Well, it worked the year before. What happened? It
I
worked the year
agree.
before,
I
you
agree
know?
with you, Mike. Defensively, they're not a lockdown team. I mean, they go as far as I'm concerned, they going I'll say drive it at the defense, come downhill, fast break, you know, want to get out in front. But the thing about it, you asked the question, who's their number one? And right, in my opinion, I love Fox, left-handed, can get out.
No doubt. No doubt.
Um, like you said, they can't, let's just say, build a team around him. They need another piece or two.
And Ken, so he want to leave, the rumors say.
That's the room, yeah.
And I mean, okay, this is a question. Will Sacramento now get better since Mike Brown is gone?
I don't know if they'll get better, Mike. I'll say it's going to be more eyes upon them. And with that comes a little bit more expectation and a little bit more pressure. Doug Christie, we'll see, if he can pull a rabbit out of his hat and see what happens. I mean, I didn't, I really didn't expect the Kings to really compete to come out of the West. So we'll see what happens, but I just don't see, let's just say, a major change as far as more wins if they have Mike Brown or Doug Christie. That's just me.
I tend to agree with you. Okay, let's I don't think it's gonna make a difference at all. And I just think it's I don't know, man. Again, you panicked. Just like the Bucks did. They panicked. And you see how far back that has set them. And I still think the Bucks have not recovered from that decision. Let's look at it like this. So do you know that Fox makes up 33% of the King's salaries himself? 33%. He will earn 34 million, almost 39 million, while carrying a cap height of 34 million, about the same. So he's making about $35 million a year.
I'm about to get a Supermax
Yeah, see, that's
contract.
it. But see, this is the problem. This is where Sacramento is really in a difficult spot. Because if you supermax him, if you give him that big deal, man, but on the other thing, can you lose him? See, these teams were, and we could throw in Zion Williamson. These teams that put in these young, unproven players, right? Now, I don't know what they do, man. I don't know if if they max him out, or maybe our listeners can tell us, should they max him out? Should they try to get rid of him and see who they can get in return? Man, it's such I hate to
A roll
say
of the dice.
it is, Ken. It's a role. I mean, I don't who knows what's the right thing to do, because like you say, he's one of the top 10 point guards in the league. I'm gonna say that. I'm not top player now, but top 10 point guard in the league. And he's young and he's got a lot of basketball ahead of him. But I just don't think if you make him the centerpiece, you're gonna be sorry. And who knows I don't know what his relationship is with DeRosa. I don't know what, like them old DeRosa old head.
Right. Yep. He goes to Mike.
So he come in, he might be looking at what the work like. You see what I'm saying? Like he put the work in. DeMarco put the work in. Like he old school. So he might be coming there like, you know what? There's a reason why we ain't winning, right? Like we got to put the work in, man. And who knows if they have that championship sort of culture over there. And Ken, I'm just gonna say, man, I think it was a mistake. I think again they panicked. I don't think you're gonna find a better coach out there. I always hear this, man, when the coach lose the locker room.
That's the standard line, Mike.
Okay. You know how you get the locker room back? You go back there and tell them, if y'all ain't gonna play for this coach, you ain't gonna play here. Matter of
There
fact,
you
why
go.
don't you just go home? But see, the thing about it, it's too much money to be made, baby. It's too much. They don't care about Mike Brown. What? What? Oh no, you heard the profit line, bruh. This what it all boiled down to. We want to win. We want to win now. And Ken, a lot of this comes down to we want our players to be happy because we want them to stay, right?
Yeah.
Giannis, we want Giannis happy because what happens if Giannis leaves?
Shoot.
And what happens is when you get a key to your organization to someone that does not know LeBron James, I'm gonna say the king, who does not understand how to use that power properly, that's what happens. And in this case, I think they're gonna do everything they can to keep Fox, and everybody else is a moot point.
But Mike, the last thing I'll say about this, and we can move on, is that
Mm-hmm.
how he got fired. I mean, you don't call him into your office as far as the GM or the owner of the team. You call him on the cell phone when he on his way to the airport to get on the flight for the next game. Come on, Mike. That's some trash.
Complete. Complete. It's always the one-sided relationship, right? We want loyalty from you. So in other words, we don't want you going out looking for another job. We don't want you talking to no, you can't do any of that. But when we done with you, oh, we're
He
gonna just
done.
send you a text. Right. That's all. He fired. Don't even show up. You see what I'm saying? And Ken, like you say, after he got that big extension, obviously they must have been happy with it.
But
You
yeah,
you extended him.
you
But
ain't been in the playoffs in about 20 years. And
man, come on, man. We do better. Do better, man. And again, I think this will, we haven't went in great depth, man, but I think every decision has a consequence. And I think some of these consequences, man, don't play out in real time or in front of us or whatever. But these consequences do play out. And I think, organizations like the Bucks and others, I think there is there's a toll. You got to pay. You got to pay for what happened. And then after that, then maybe, but it's if you don't think that in the Bucks locker room that the spirit and the thoughts of Adrian is still there, that lingers, man. That was anytime you fire a coach, especially a coach that some players are very close to and they like. Think about that, Ken. Don't you think they looking at it like kind of sideways? Like, hold on, man. Like, I had a relationship with this man. I cared about this man. This man mentored me. He cared about me. You break those relationships, you damage your culture in your locker room. And
yeah, I hear what you're saying, Mike, but I think the players, coaches, assistant coaches, they know there is going to be a day when they will move on. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be, let's just say, a year from now. but they know that the place that they're in, they won't be there for long. That's just me saying that. That's just,
Mhm.
I think that's their mentality.
Well, I can tell you, man, when I see some of these relationships that these players have with their coaches,
Hmm.
when those relationships are severed like that, and not severed in a way where a coach retires or a coach takes another job, but look at those players. Where's the coach at? Where the coach? When we not taking off without the coach, huh? Oh, he fired. Man, you imagine we all human, and it's like, well, what's going on here, right? So I just think it's poor, man. But again, it to me, Ken, is becoming more of the norm.
Yeah.
We get new players, you're not successful, so you're fired. It has nothing to do with chemistry and the team and players and egos and this and that. It's like you're pretty much out of here, folks. As always, we want you to hit that like, that subscribe button and that notification button, especially going into 2025. Go ahead and share our content too, so that we can build the community of why they play the game. And we love hearing from you. Keep giving us your feedback and keep putting us on our toes. But we wanted to end this out by looking at the NBA and really the future of the NBA. Ken, we have heard Isaiah Thomas come out. We've heard Charles Barkley. I mean, we've heard the old, we want to say the old
Or
guard, okay, come out and talk about how the game has changed. I don't like to use the word evolution because evolution implies that things have gotten better. So I would like to use change because
okay.
things can change for the worse. So this change that has happened with the three-pointers, Ken, first of all, how do you see the three-pointer as being that problematic as we're hearing from ex NBA players, Hall of Famers? Do you see it as being that serious of an issue?
Do Mike. Like the 3-pointer as but let me take a step back. Remember in practice we used to do the weave,
Yeah,
from, and so then you send the person up for the layup.
yeah, yeah.
Now, you coming down the court, you got a 2 on, let's just say 3-on-1. Your other teammate, they shooting towards the 3-point line. You like, I'm saying to myself, go to the basket so I can, lay you up. That's an easy 2. I'm like, man, come on, Mike. I watched the game. This guy, he drove to the basket, right under the basket. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
he shoots it out to his teammate to shoot the 3. He shoots the 3, misses. They go, the other team goes
Mm-hmm.
down. Then they come back up, another 3, then another 3. I'm like, won't y'all take it to the basket and try to get fouled? Or who has a mid range game that
Man.
And Mike, I just like you. I think we talked about this off air, where I think Boston took 52 threes in one quarter,
Oh, I think it
or
was no. That
or
was for a game.
four
Yeah,
game.
that
Okay,
yeah,
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 yeah.
they're averaging over 53s per
That was
game.
it. Right, my bad. I'm like saying 53s. Come on, man.
Can let me pause you right there. Then I want you to continue.
Okay,
Okay, in the 1990s, teams averaged approximately 2.2 3-pointers per game.
okay,
Okay. So today, just today, well, okay, let me back up. They on the average in the 90s, the teams made 2.3 per day. They averaged 6 attempts, six
okay.
3 points. In today's game, the average. Now we know the Celtics are averaging over 53s a game, but
Mike,
the average team.
before you say that, let me take a guess. I'm gonna
Okay,
say, on average 30.
you close, brother. 34,
Okay,
34, and out of that they make 12 on average. So what we're looking at here is when you this is what people don't understand. When you do the percentages of 3-pointers taken versus two, let's take Giannis for instance. Giannis is shooting what in the paint? 60 some percent in the paint. So that means if I give Giannis 10 shots, let's say 60%. If I give him 10 shots, he's gonna make 6 out of
6 of them.
those. So if you at the 3-point line, and a lot of these folks are only shooting 30, 31%, and you're shooting 10, you gonna shoot what you gonna make? 3? You understand? Even the see, this is where the 3-pointer becomes it's kind of deceiving because of the beauty of it. Man, the ball flies high, Ken, and when you hit all twine, the crowd goes crazy. People don't go so crazy for the layup. It's not as flashy, right? And the NBA recognizes this is as much as we want to speed the game up, as much as the aesthetics of the game. They want those. So what you really get, Ken, is the exciting 2-pointers are
Yeah.
the dunk, right?
Right. Yeah.
Or you get somebody like Chris Middleton, Kyrie, Anthony Edwards. You get someone that's got skills, Luka, that can go to work. But the majority of players, and I'm going to say this, and I know some folks might get mad at me, but the majority of NBA players today are not skilled players. They can shoot. They can
Okay.
they can shoot kind of decent. Some of them, even to me, can 30-some% from the field. It's not good. I don't. I just why is it that okay? Number one, if I get 10 shots and I'm shooting 8 threes, what does that say about my game? I was gonna play this clip, but I'm just gonna paraphrase what the
Okay.
GOAT said, Michael Jeffrey Jordan. When he you remember that playoff when he hit, I think it was a record playoff. He hit like 5 or 7 threes. It was in a half that was the record, right?
Against
At that
Portland.
time. I believe it was. And so they asked him about that. And Michael said, I don't want to get good at shooting 3-pointers because it takes away from my overall game. If you're spending time just shooting threes, you don't develop your post game. You don't develop your drive game. You don't develop any mid range. Ken, we have guys in the league that all they do is
Just
when they
shoot.
go in is shoot 3-pointers. To
By
be
the
you're
3.
cheating, man, you're cheating the game. The game is not, matter of fact, the 3-pointer is addition to the game, wasn't it, Ken?
Yeah.
So shouldn't you be fundamentally sound on the foundation of the game? Okay. Now you can go to the addition of the game. But Ken, everybody, look at AAU, look at high school, look at
Everybody. Right.
everybody. Listen, there's a reason why there's only a one Steph Kerr. Everybody, you can't shoot like that, dude.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Stop it.
But Mike, let me get back to something that you said. I hear this all the time. Today's players, are they more athletic than the players in the past? Or is it more show?
I would give that. Okay, let me say this. Let me make this argument because, Ken, this is where people miss. Players seem more athletic today because players are given the opportunity to develop that athleticism. For instance, a guard back in the day could never, ever dribble the ball, come down, go to the paint, dribble around the paint, dribble all around it. You be sitting on the bench. You had to pass the ball. Back in the day, you couldn't come down and double clutch and spin off the glass and all. You know what they said? You're playing street ball. Okay, no. Clean that up. We just want to lay up. We want this. We want that. So what I'm going to say is what we see is when players are given the opportunity to be creative, to be talented, to use their physicality and their athleticism in a way that was not allowed. At one time,
Great
Ken, we
point.
could only drive 55. Okay. Now you some places you can go 75, this, that, and the other thing. See, we were not allowed to do that. So my argument is that's why that may be we're seeing more athleticism, but the reason why we're seeing it is because it has been allowed to take place in the game now, right? I'll argue this. Man, they better 3-pointer shooters today than this. Ken, what do we say? 6 attempts, the average. 6 attempts. That was a team. Anthony Edwards is shooting 10 threes a game himself, which I think is a disservice to his great
Good game.
ability. It's a disservice, man. When Anthony Edwards pulls up, I don't care if he's hitting threes. He's letting the defense off the hook.
Man, come on,
Man.
Mike.
Come on, man. He is one of the guys that has the complete package, and he's fallen into this. I need to shoot threes. It's lazy. I'm just gonna say it, Ken. Shooting threes is lazy. Man. Think about this. We used to practice dribbling, passing. We used to practice running plays. We used to practice the flow and the arm. We used to practice. Man, we didn't just sit at and just shoot. These are guys that are considered just 3-point shooters. And then we hear this, Ken, 3 and D. Need a guy that shoot threes and play D. How about a guy that dribbles the ball? How about a guy that can assist? How about a guy that can get his own shot?
Man.
Many of these guys, if you cut off the 3-pointer, they
it's
stuck.
Over.
So Ken. Okay.
But Mike, let me give you a good example of a guy who came into the league and then his game just shifted. Brook Lopez. A monster in the paint.
Yeah.
I think Brook was averaging 22, 23.
He's still the number one. He's still the leader in the nets and scoring.
Right. He was, and most of his baskets were in the paint, down low.
Yes.
And getting fouled. Now, look at Brook's game. Shooting threes like it ain't nobody's business. I mean,
way
nobody's business.
Right. Man, way out there, man.
And the thing, Mike, also is that, these coaches or these scouts are not looking for, let's just say, big men who can, let's just be down low. They're looking for somebody who can shoot the three. That's,
Yeah.
So, like you said, it's a disservice completely, as far as I'm concerned.
It is a disservice. In the 90s, the field goal percentage was up about a point from 47, almost 48% to 46% to the 2020s. And Ken, this is an interesting fact. So in the 90s, the top players often played close to full seasons, averaging between 78 and 80 games per year. So in today's NBA 2020s, we say, with increased emphasis on load management, top players average fewer games, approximately 70 to 75 games. So they're missing 10 to 12 games per year on average. And you look back where you might say guys were missing, five games. And if you miss 5 games out of 82, you're doing something good. That means you staying healthy. That means you ain't been sick. That means you ain't been injured. That ain't, you taking care. And what's so crazy, Ken, how you have in today's game, man, you got so many doctors and physical therapists, and you flying the best. You have the best meals. You got cooks. You got this
nutritionists,
but you can't stay on the court. Can't stay on the court. Dudes back in the day, they would hit McDonald's. They riding on a bus, eating McDonald's, going to the game and playing 80 games. No, listen, Ken. Load management, Ken. And we started out this by saying, what is the future of the NBA? And this argument, Ken. Well, let me back up. Let me first of all agree with you 100% with what you were saying about 3-pointers and what most of the Hall of Famers and people that love the game. It's not hating on. It's not. Some guys are good 3-point shooters.
Yeah.
Some guys are. And some guys should be shooting threes. But the majority of these dudes in the league should not be shooting 3-pointers. Like, I have seen, just like you. Okay, I'm watching the game. Come down. 3, miss. Rebound. Come down. 3, miss. Come down. 3, miss. Come down. Fast break. Kick it out. 3, miss. And then all of a sudden somebody hits the 3 and the crowd goes crazy. You just had 6. It took you 6 tries on both teams to hit 1 3 and the crowd goes crazy. Basketball enthusiasts, people that love the game, people that played the game at some level are looking at the NBA and going, man.
What happened?
What happened? It is analytics, Ken. And I was reading just how in the future, now we're talking about moving forward, how AI is gonna enhance analytics to a whole nother level. And so, Ken, what about this argument where people are saying, man, we got to do something. We got to eliminate the 3-pointer, or we got to so many per game. And how can you do that?
There's no way. I don't think there's no way they could. I mean, you put a limit on threes. I don't think. I just think that we have to. When I say we, is the NBA needs to get back to just more. I'll say more true basketball. And I put it that way. There's, like you said, there's some people out there who could, shoot a three with their eyes closed and still make it. And there's some who shouldn't even be attempting a three. And then, as far as I always say this, the closer you get to the basket, the higher percentage that you're gonna make it. That's just, that's just given. I mean, if you're just looking for players to, sit on that 3-point line, okay, yeah, that's not exciting. Not to me, I'll say the team does, and I think I said this before, the team that does a great job is Golden State, as far as passing, setting folks up to go dribble drive, pin downs. And the thing about it, who do they have? Steph Curry.
Mm-hmm.
Probably one of the greatest 3-point uh, player to
Assassins.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with you. Let me, and we're gonna conclude here in just a minute too. But let me make a strong argument for having an all around game. And Ken, that's what you're talking about. Players need to, these young players, and see, this is why I don't see it getting fixed, Ken, because these young players are not being taught coming up an all around game, how to dribble, how to post up, how to hit a 8 to 10, how to create your shot, how to beat somebody off the dribble. These young players are not doing that. They put them on the 3-point line. Shoot, because guess what? If you can shoot, you can get in the NBA, you can make money, you can go to college. This is the problem I have with that. This is the counter argument I'm gonna do to that. Let's look at the MVP race this year. Who's in it? Jokic. Where
Okay.
Jokic do his damage at? He don't do his damage on the 3. Jokic is 8 to 10. He in the middle game, baby. He in the post
Mid
up game.
range. Yeah.
Okay, let's hit who's in that second spot. Giannis. Where Giannis do his damage at? In the same area,
Mayor.
baby. Okay. Now let's go a little lighter. You said, okay, Mike, you said 2 big men. No. That's GA.
Man.
Where he do his damage at, Ken? The mid-range,
Range.
baby. So what I'm saying, the best players in the league are still all around players that can create, that can get their other players involved. The reason why Jokic is so great because he does everything.
Yeah.
And Ken, why? See, this is what I don't understand about the NBA. Your best players do everything, but you encourage players to do one thing.
Specialist.
Man, I'm like, man, what happened to the Magics that did everything? The Jordan that did everything, man. I'm like, I'm looking at these guys and saying, you're missing the mark. Basketball is just not about scoring from distance. Right, the beauty of the game was created to be a team sport, man. The creativity that has come in the game from I don't, man, we can go back to the 70s, to the 80s, we can go back to the ABA, we can the creativity, man. Think about Dr. J and George
Man.
Gervin. Man, look at Ken. Would Dr. J ever run to the corner and wait for the ball? Would George Gervin ever run to the corner? Would Jordan ever run to the corner? Man,
Yeah, stop.
that's all players do.
Hmm.
It's ridiculous. And then you see these situations where you don't have a Yang, you don't have a Dame, you don't have a Giannis. And then the question is, Chris is just coming back, so I'm not going to even put Chris in that category because Chris can get his game going and he can get his ball and he can do what he needs to do, right? 3-level score, right? Old school. But these other guys are lost. How do they get their shots, Ken? Who taking who off the dribble? Who creating for everybody else? Who is it? There's nobody. Because Gary Trent, He's mainly he can do some off the ball, but he mainly gonna pull up and shoot. He gonna Torian Prince is gonna pull up and shoot. He gonna you notice how Torian his handle, man. Even when he go to his handle, he need to work on his handle. You look at AJ Green. AJ Green getting better,
Better.
but still, what is he? He made like 5 or 6 2-pointers all season long. He's just been shooting threes. Pat can't get his own shot. So when you look at these guys that have never truly developed their game, and Ken, maybe that's where we're getting to. Guys are just not developing their game anymore. They're saying, if I can get good at threes, I'm good. Okay. Especially if I'm 6'7", 6'8", 6'10".
Man,
If I can
shoot.
shoot threes, I'm good. I just think it's in the long run, Ken, there's a reason why the viewership is down.
Unfortunately.
It's some of these games and you know how we feel about basketball, man. We love basketball, but Ken, some of these games are very difficult to watch. And it's a shame, man. I'm looking at it, I'm just like, everybody's just shooting threes, man. Nobody's doing anything creative. Nobody's breaking people down, passing or going to the lane. And if you're not watching guys like Kyrie Irving, you're not watching Dallas with Luka, you're not watching like the Phoenix Suns, you're not watching the Bucks, you're not watching a lot of these teams that have players that have as we want to say, a more well-rounded game. You're just watching a 3-point shootout contest.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Yeah, Mike. Sometimes it gets tough to watch, and you just think to yourself, man, what are you? I always say, what are you thinking about? I'm like, man, take that to the basket and get fouled. The old three, the old three.
Oh my, get fouled. Oh man, that's something that and the fact, Ken, I don't know what the answer. We're talking about the future and maybe of the NBA, and maybe some of our listeners can give their opinion on it, but Ken, I just don't see the trend going in the right direction. And I just have to be honest. I don't see what's the change. And you see the criticism from multiple levels.
Yeah.
And I think the criticism is because people are concerned. It's not hating. It is that people are concerned that we see a game that is just, we see a game also, Ken, with a concern at, and we're going to close out here, folks. Also, where the concern is this, Ken. We have this increase in the best players being international. So while we're going to watch a game 5-10 years from now where the top 20 players will be international players, top 15, like the American player will be, they'll be good, but they won't be the superstars of the league, right? When LeBron leaves, who's the assist leader? Who's the who when they talk about who's the face of the NBA, coming up. That's a conversation for us to have. We know it's New Year's Eve, Ken. I know you probably got, you got the pina colada and everything ready. Yeah. I wish I was in town. I come on around with my, Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Been a great show. Been a great year, brother.
Everybody out there, be safe. 25 and be right is right around the corner. So we want to see you. Keep watching and listening, and tell us, what's your opinions.
And you have heard it from Ken, folks. As we always say, the world of sports unites us. Let us take this unity in our everyday life. This is why they play the game.